tracking of 505. 21.
Target card for a parking problem.
Beyond the Call is a monthly program featuring public safety and educational topics with the Richmond Police Department. Beyond the Call is brought to you exclusively by Babcon Electric.
Hi, I'm Rick Babuka, Vice President of Babcon Electric. Babcon Electric is proud to support Beyond the Call. We have been an active community sponsor for over 20 years. And if you need electric repair, don't hesitate to call. Call Babcon Electric at 859-623-3848 and expect superior service. Service beyond the call. Enjoy the program.
Hi, this is Gwendolyn Morton with Beyond the Call. We have made it back for another session. I'm here with Josh Hale from the Richmond Police Department, and we are now starting up episode 2 already with Beyond the Call. We are first going to start out, we're going to talk about a little bit about what we talked about last week, just kind of do a recap from last week, and again, remind everybody what our purpose is. This is Beyond the Call. We're exclusively brought to you by Babcon Electric, and this is going to be more or less a public safety forum where we can talk about policing and public safety right here locally in Madison County.
That's right. So last month we kind of introduced the program for the first time, and we wanted to let you know that this is the way that we're going to be reaching out to our community. We wanted to have a different method to try to get our message out there to you. So we talked about some of the programs that we have going on and basically did an introduction for this program. You know, we talked about our Citizens Police Academy and just some of the things that we have in store for the future for this program.
Yeah, I think we had a really great turnout last month. I think it was interesting and really enjoyed just kind of getting the program off. You can find us, of course, on WBON TV, and we're also doing this as a podcast format. So, you know, listen to it in your car and find out what's going on here in our local area. And just, you know, relations between the police. And this is also going to be about communicating with the public. What does the public want to know about your agency? How do we communicate between the public and your agency? What are some ideas that you have? And if anyone out there listening has some ideas of some topics that they'd like to cover here, you know, give us a call or find us, send us a message. What's the best way? If I have something that I'd like to discuss on this program, how could I get that information to you?
So the best way to get a hold of us is you can email us, of course, or you could contact us on our Facebook page, and we'll make sure we put all the links on that for Facebook and everything, and also Twitter. But basically, this is our open book to you all. You know, we'll have different topics every single month, and like today, we're going to talk about some different things. But you know, at the end, closer to time, whenever it's time for us to do the show or the program, we're going to actually reach out to you and ask you, hey, what would you like to hear about? And that's whenever we expect, a lot of good turnout like we had this time. We had several people send us some questions in and some things about, what we can do to make our community safer. Just kind of a little caveat to that, just in case we don't get to what you ask about, keep tuning in, because there may be a program that's in the future that we are already planning on talking about that. We may already have a plan or a purpose and a mission for that question that you asked.
That's a great point. And this is always going to be a way to communicate with the community. Give us your ideas. Tell us what you are interested in, what you want to hear about. With that being said, it's January, and I don't know if you checked outside today. It was cool.
It's been a brisk zero lately, and we've had some, I think it's 27 degrees today here in Richmond, so with the sun out, but I'm sure when the sun goes down, it'll be very, very cold again. So one of the things we're going to talk about today is winter safety and possibly some winter driving things too.
So with this winter weather, the way it has been, have you seen a difference in what kind of calls you're going to, anything that you would like to address in the community with the winter temperatures and the winter weather the way it is? I mean, it's January. You have to expect the cold, but what can you do and what can you expect right now? Well,
obviously, whenever we have different inclement weather, traffic is going to be an issue, and we can address traffic, how to do some different traffic concerns with that, because we'll kind of wrap that up into another topic also. But winter safety is, obviously, it's cold outside, so bundle up. Don't go outside without coats and different things. We do have people that are still in need. out on our streets. And so if you have a way that you can help someone safely and you can help them to be warm at night. And again, I mean, we said it's been 0 or below, so it's been very, very cold out. Obviously, we encourage you to do that. Just generalize, and you would think that people would know that, but a lot of times think it's. I've seen people walking around in shorts outside for some reason, and it's very, very cold outside.
Yeah.
So just little things that you can do to keep yourself safe.
And also this time of year, it's good to, check on your neighbors and your friends. Make sure that the others around you have a warm place, a safe place to go. I don't know that much about the community, the homeless community here in Richmond, but if there's someone that you see in need, is there where to direct them to go in this kind of weather and these kind of conditions? How do you approach that?
We have a good partnership with the Salvation Army here in town. That's one of those places that really does help people out a lot. Of course, you have God's Outreach. We talked a lot about them last
right.
program for food, and that doesn't really, they don't shelter people, they don't house people, but they can still provide food. And I believe their operating hours are Monday through Wednesday, 9 to 12, I think, is whenever you can get stuff for them. Of course, your local churches, and I assume that there's probably a lot of good Samaritans out there that still want to help people too.
Yeah, another thing that I just thought of as well is heating costs. Are there any agencies that you're aware of that can help with keeping that, if you are inside but you do need help with that extra warmth, how do you go about getting help, or how do you help the community with that?
Of course, a heating bill. I'm no different than anybody else. Our heating bill is going to be astronomical this month, just because it's been so cold. But there are a lot of businesses here in town. The local electric companies. Most of the time they're willing to work with you about things. It's as long as you're doing what you're supposed to and making every attempt. And of course that's their business, knowing how they do it different each one. But every time I've spoken to them about different things, they're very willing to help out and work with people.
Great. So, and keep you warm. Just stay inside if you can, especially on these super cold days. Do you want to talk any about like keeping your pets inside and pet safety and the other things that you have to worry about with the outside?
So we get a lot of calls about everything at the police department. So, and that's one of those things that, a lot of times people don't know who else to call, so they call the police. So
Right.
we get a lot of welfare checks on animals. I have dogs and cats at home, and so we keep our animals inside also. If at all possible, make sure that the animals are warm. Obviously, they need water. Water freezes very, very quickly when it's cold outside. Make sure they have food. Yeah, so just little things like that, taking care of your pets, because people are concerned about animals, and they do call a lot about things to check on them. So just take care of your animals too.
On a legal aspect, what are there laws in place that would mandate that you do bring your animals in, or how is there anything in place that takes care of the animals, legally speaking? What if you're neglecting your animal? What?
Yeah, there are laws against cruelty to animals, and of course the KRS is very specific on what those limitations and those are. But we want to make sure that just it's common sense. If you're cold. If you have an animal that doesn't have a lot of fur on its body, it's probably cold too. So just simple things like that. You can insulate a doghouse, and I understand some animals don't want to come in.
Right.
So just insulate your dog houses or your pet houses, if you will. Take care of your farm animals too. I mean, they're also animals out there.
Right. At the end of the day, use common sense.
Yep.
It's cold. If you're cold, they're cold.
That's right. It's one of those things that wintertime is hard on everybody.
Right.
And then, of course, we'll get right into traffic here and talk about that.
I think that is, for the last couple of days, we've obviously had some traffic impacts due to the weather, icy roads, snowy roads. We got a lot of snow pretty quickly there for a little while, and it really impacted getting around town. There's people who need to be on the roads, and there are people who don't need to be on the roads. And I think we have a big problem with people who don't need to be on the roads just staying home. How do you go into a different format when you have this kind of weather? Do you bring more officers on? Do you take less? I mean, or do you just kind of stay the same? How does this work?
Well, you obviously have a certain number of officers on a shift. So unless we declare some kind of state of emergency,
Right.
and which we haven't, we've been able to work through it. We won't have to call anybody in typically, but we work very, very well with a lot of our other agencies here in Madison County. We talked about that for the Citizens and Police Academy.
Yes, absolutely.
So we work well with the Sheriff's Department and State Police and EKU and Berea. And we all work together when we need something. But there there are times when you don't really need to be out on the road. And I know everybody doesn't like to be cooped up, and it's very hard right now whenever it's so cold outside. But road conditions really have been dangerous in the last few days. And if you have to go to work, we understand.
Right.
But some people just go out to drive just to go out and drive, and it's just not safe.
To see what there is out there to see.
Sure.
So, any tips for driving in these conditions? What can you tell the public as a whole when they are? Because let's face it, there are times that it's going to be necessary to be on the roads. How do you instruct the public to, take care out there?
Number one, it doesn't matter if you have a four-wheel drive or not. Sometimes, there's a lot of vehicles that may seem like they can do it, but that doesn't mean that when there's a foot of snow outside, it makes you automatically the great driver with the four-wheel drive either. I mean, make sure you know how to drive your vehicle. Make sure you understand how to handle your vehicle. So, and obviously you don't know until you have to deal with something like this. But we have been sending out a lot of warnings on our Facebook page and a lot of updates on the snow and showing you the roads and. The main thing is just pay attention to what people are telling you. If you have a question about the roads, if you can't see them, it's probably slick.
Right.
And that goes for, that could go for rain too. I mean, that's a whole different issue with water, but slow down. The most important thing is slow down. People want to drive this. Yeah, they want to drive the same speed that they would when there's no snow on the ground.
Right.
So that's probably the number one tip that I would say: slow down.
Slow down out there and just use caution. Of course, the main roads are cleared a little quicker than these, country roads and things. Take into consideration travel times and what kind of roads you're going to be traveling on. I would say the interstates probably are the first in the line of being cleared. Is that usually the way that works?
It depends. So you have
Right.
several different agencies that are doing things. Of course, you have the highway department that handles the interstates and those roads. The city of Richmond, we're going to give them some props and the attaboy here
think
because
they
they
did
have done a great job in the last couple of weeks getting the roads cleared. They've been out all night with our third shift guys working, just ready with the plows and the trucks. So it's going to take time. So just be patient. We understand that, there's hundreds of streets in the city of
Right.
Richmond. And that doesn't even include, I'm just talking about the city limits. So even in the county, there's more roads. But, you just have to be patient. We understand that you're trapped also.
Right.
But, clear your driveway, shovel your driveway if you can, help out a little bit for your own properties, and then we can get to you when we can. But, they've done a really good job so far.
I think that's absolutely correct. They've done a great job in keeping the roads clear and clearing them off as much as possible, considering the type of weather that we've had, the ice, the snow, and the extreme cold temperatures that we've had. I did have a question. So a lot of people, me including, want to make sure that those vehicles are warmed up when we get in them. Now, I have an automatic start on my car. What are the laws and regulations? Are there laws that say that you're not allowed to have your keys in the car, or you're not allowed to have your keys running, or your car running, I'm sorry? How does that work? Because I know that they say, obviously don't do it, but like in my situation, the car stays locked even when the car is running. Is that legal?
Well, I mean, there is a law
Okay.
that says that you shouldn't leave your motor vehicle running and unattended.
Okay.
However, the common sense, again, should play a factor here. I mean, if you go out and your car doesn't want to start and it tells you no also in the mornings,
Yeah.
we're going to have to, officers are pretty understanding about that.
Okay.
We still have vehicles. Of course, we have a home fleet system that we drive.
Yeah.
So, we're not going to, just go out and write you tickets and stuff like that because you're leaving vehicles running to warm them up.
Okay.
But on the other side of that, a lot of theft can occur at this time too. So if you are going to go out and start your vehicle, remember, if you leave your car unlocked, somebody can just go easily get in the car and take
Right.
off. So, I mean, you could have your vehicle stolen. So take precautions and think about that. I wouldn't do it in a big public place, anything like that. I mean, so
Right.
unless you're in the vehicle, and I know it's cold, but
cold.
just make sure that you're taking precautions to protect your property also.
Great. So with this January temperatures, we've talked about the road conditions, we've talked about traffic, we've talked about our pets and our families. Anything else specific to January going on maybe with the department or in the community, things that, you want to promote or talk about?
And we'll talk about more about some of our upcoming events towards the end, but, go out and February, I think, is one of our big events that's going to be coming up. It's Coffee with a Cop. Still cold outside, so
Right.
we want to make sure that we take time to spend time with our community and drink a cup of coffee. And we'll explain a little bit more about that as we go forward.
That sounds great. So, like we've said before, if you're having something that there's a topic, January, February, winter related, go ahead and send us a message and let us know what you're interested in hearing. This is a format to bring us, what are you interested in hearing out there in the community? Let us know. Send us a message. This is a time that we can absolutely get questions answered right here on a one-on-one basis with the community. Let us know what you've got going out there right now. School's out.
Yes.
School's been out.
For a while.
My kids are home. They've been home. They've been home, and they've been home, and they've been home. Let's talk a little bit about the schools and such right now. Maybe they'll go back at some point. I've got my
Hopefully
fingers
tomorrow.
crossed. I've got my fingers crossed that the roads are getting clear out there right now. Let's talk a little bit about safety and school buses and what we can see on the roads as far as school bus safety and school safety.
Well, Madison County Schools, again, as we've mentioned before, is one of our big partners with a lot of things that we do. First thing I would tell you is, keep your kids warm. I mean, It goes back to what we were talking about before. Kids are being sent home with homework, NTI work, whatever you will, non-traditional instruction, I think is what that stands for. It's a fantastic idea. I mean, so these kids are not losing snow days or they're not losing days. We're not tacking them on at the end of the year, at the end of the school year. So, make sure your kids are getting done with the work and stuff like that. But with that in mind, when it's time to go out for school, whenever we do get school going again, we've had some people asking questions about what you should do during, school and the school buses and things like that. So one of the questions we recently got was what to do or how do we do something about people running school bus signs. So,
and you mean the arm?
The stop arm.
Right.
So very, very dangerous, first of all.
Yes. You're putting a lot of lives at risk.
Absolutely. So whenever that stop sign is out, that is that's like a regular stop sign.
Right.
Of course,
clear indication to stop.
It's to stop. That's right.
Right.
That's why it's the big red sign.
Yeah.
So you have that, but then you also have the stop arm, and I think people should always assume that whenever that stop sign is out, that children may be unloading from that bus. Yes, they're supposed to have flashing lights, but that isn't always the case. They may be loading on the bus or getting off the bus also. But just understand to exercise caution with that. If you do see someone that is running a stop sign, call us. Call dispatch, and that's 859-624-4776. Understand. We may or may not be in the area.
Yeah, it's a priority issue, obviously.
It's but it's a high priority for us. But we just may not be able to have officers there on the scene, right that second. So, but we encourage our officers to issue citations.
Absolutely.
If that happens, and of course, and there's some. I've heard of cases where people have crossed the school bus on the right side of the bus, which is where the door is for the children. So, very, very dangerous. So that's one of those things we wanted to address.
Yeah, and keep in mind that those kids could be coming from either side. I mean, they could be coming from the right or the left. I see that a lot of the school buses now are equipped with the actual arm that comes out so the kids don't cross too closely in front of the school bus. But keep an eye on both sides. You don't know where the child is going to come from. Are they coming from the getting on the bus, getting off the bus? Just common sense, because how could you live with just something like that would be an accident that happened, so quickly.
Well, and I understand that everyone has a place to go.
Right.
And I understand that everybody's lives are equally important. I do understand that. I do understand you have jobs and places that you have to be.
But
You can stop.
Yeah.
It is imperative that you stop for the school buses to make sure that we keep our children safe.
That's exactly right. Other traffic issues. We talked a little bit about, just off the air, about U-turns on the Robert Martin bypass. What's that about? What are we talking about here?
So out on the new bypass is what they call it, the Robert R. Martin. There are several places that have cut-throughs between the lanes. And a lot of times people will turn around, and I've done it also, not necessarily illegal, but understand that you're on a hill. There are people that are traveling at 55 miles an hour, hopefully 55 miles an hour or lower. But a lot of times people will not realize that they need to turn around and then turn a U-turn very, very quickly, almost causing accidents. So if this is you, please make sure you pay attention to to traffic laws, obviously, and then to where you're at. Give your motorists behind you a chance. Use your turn signals. That's a big complaint that we have all the time from a lot of people.
All the cars have them, I hear.
Yep, every
Every
car
single
is supposed
one.
to have a turn signal.
Yeah.
So use your turn signals. Don't be zipping in and out of traffic just to make that U-turn.
It seems like there's a lot of accidents on the Robert R. Martin bypass right at 4 Mile. I had one of my daughter's teenage friends just had a very serious accident there. Is there something in particular that's the reason? I know that there's a kind of a hill coming down on that from the interstate side. I guess if you're coming toward 52 or whatever. Any advice right specifically in that area? That it just seems like there's always an issue right there.
Well, a lot of times in our accidents that happen, the reason that they happen is someone turning left in front of another vehicle, thinking that you have the right of way, or somebody disregarding the traffic light,
Right.
Running the traffic light. So make sure you follow the driver's handbook. Go back to when you're 16 years old and doing that,
Right.
and get a refresher course if you have to. But you must, even if you have the green light. If you're turning left, that doesn't necessarily mean that you have the right of way, unless
Right.
you have the green arrow. So,
Right.
little things of paying attention can help us to prevent accidents and save lives. Obviously, the one, stay off your cell phone.
Oh, absolutely.
Pay attention, texting, calling people, whatever. Just pay attention to the road around you.
Right. I think specifically too there with that there is a little bit of a hill there. Just wait. If the car in front of you goes and turns left there, it doesn't necessarily mean that there was room for you to go as well. Go ahead and pay attention to everything around you. Stay off your phones and pay attention to your surroundings. It's just it's dangerous out there. Be careful. Take every precaution necessary out on the roads.
Absolutely, and I think that's everywhere you go. It's
Right.
not just that one intersection.
Right.
We don't want to be specific to that,
Right.
but it's again common sense
Yes.
with the driving. You did well enough to get your driving test, so make sure you follow all the traffic laws.
Yeah, with a new driver, well, actually a couple of new drivers in my house. It's so scary letting your kids go out in that atmosphere to begin with, and just make sure that when you have your children in the car, that you are showing them good habits as well. When you have your children in the car, make sure you're staying off your cell phones. Don't just lead by example.
You're important to somebody,
Right.
And no matter what anybody may tell you, no matter what anybody may say, you're important to us. Obviously, you're important
Right.
to this community. So just little things to keep yourself safe and your family safe.
Right. We've got several abandoned properties in the community, and I think that's probably an issue everywhere. What is the city doing to address properties that are abandoned at this point that are not being maintained? Just empty properties.
Well, the city, we have to give it to them. The city of Richmond has really, really, really stepped up in the codes enforcement area. We go on calls quite a bit with
Right.
them when needed
Right.
to go check out properties to make sure that they truly are abandoned, that there's nobody living in there, squatting in the houses, whatever.
Right.
So just know that there are obviously procedures and ordinances that they have to go through to get to the point where they can demolish a house or whatever. But I've seen a lot of houses torn down very quickly lately because they want to make sure that we don't have, any properties that look like that.
Right. And another aspect of that, do those quickly turn into, high crime areas when you have something that's abandoned that, it has to draw in people who don't have a place to go, and in turn,
I don't know if I would use the word quickly, but it does. When you leave something unattended, eventually things like that a property could deteriorate. From the weather, it's going to deteriorate.
Right.
From the exterior, obviously from the interior, because it is a structure.
Right.
But empty houses like that invite people to come in and stay, if you will.
Look around,
Yep.
see what's been left in there. What kind of treasures are left in there, right?
And so if you see a property like that, if you see a property that has, broken windows or somewhere that's not being well taken care of, or if you see someone, this is the one where we kind of get involved. If you see someone going into an abandoned house, we want to know about it.
Right.
We want to check it out because a lot of times, the same people, and not always, people will go in there and they might be drug use. There might be things
Right.
that they do in there, and they may just try to live in there because they don't have anywhere else to go.
Right.
But ultimately, it is not their home.
Right.
So, we can, even if we're not out to obviously take everybody to jail for something, we may be able to provide a resource for them to help them to find somewhere to go rather than living in an abandoned house.
Obviously. And I mean, at the end of the day, you're here to help.
That's
You're
right.
here to help on both ends of that spectrum, with the property and then with whoever might be needing assistance at that time. It's January. We're here in Madison County, and we're getting ready to have something here that it's been away for a little while, and it's now coming back. It's the All A Classic. It's
right.
coming up the 24th through the 28th here, and we're going to be getting a big surge of people in from out of town. How are you preparing for that?
So we are very excited to have the All A Classic. I've been a police officer here for almost 15 years, and I've saw it for years.
Yeah.
We worked it. So it was here for a long time, and then it went away. It went to another city, I think Frankfurt for a little while.
right.
Yep. So don't know how long it's been gone, but it's been
I
gone
think
for
just
several
5
years.
or 6 years, something in that frame.
But it's back now. So
Right.
just with that in mind, we know it's coming. We actually have a meeting this week coming up prior to the All A Classic about it. And then we're getting ready for our people. We will be there working with EKU to have that extra security and safety there at the ball
So
games.
that's a partnership that you do with the EKU. Now, is it EKU Police, EKU Public Safety? How was that?
All the
Chris?
above. All
Okay,
the
all
above.
of the
So,
above. Okay.
where it's in McBrayer Arena. They're at Alumni Coliseum. So it's obviously on EKU's campus. So
Right.
a lot of the parking and different things, they're going to handle some of that because it's on their campus.
Right.
But we are preparing for the extra traffic influx. We know
Yes.
it's coming. That's one thing out there when you listen to this. That's why we wanted to talk about it this time. Be prepared. You're going to have people in town that are not from here. Extra
Right.
school buses. Extra people from
Extra
schools.
bodies walking around.
Absolutely. So we're going to have a major influx of people. Just be patient. People are
Right.
just trying to get from point A to point B.
Keep in mind, this is a great thing for our community.
Absolutely.
This brings in revenue for our community. It brings in our hotels, our restaurants. This is a big economic boost for right here in our community. So keep in mind that it's the 24th through the 28th, starting, that's next week, right? think
I got the
that's,
times here. I've got the brackets.
okay.
Yeah, it starts next week. And we've got, that's Wednesday through Sunday. So,
Okay. So
just,
we're looking at a long weekend there.
yeah, so be prepared. Obviously, if you want to go to a restaurant here in town, and we still encourage you to go eat out and
Right.
things like that, understand you may have school buses there full of kids.
Right.
So just be patient. We're all they're here for a good time, and it's their state
Absolutely.
tournament.
This is a big deal for them. These kids that are coming in, these are generally the smaller schools.
That's right.
That are competing against each other for, it's a big deal. They're here to have fun. They're here to win. They're here to compete. Let's roll out the red carpets for them.
Absolutely.
Hospitality.
Welcome them to the city of Richmond. Madison County has a whole lot of things that we can offer to visitors, and we want them to come back. Ultimately, a small event like that was what led me to become a police officer here in Richmond in the long run,
Right.
because I'd never been to Richmond until I did an event like that. This may be something that could get future students to EKU.
Absolutely.
This could be
It
something
really
that could
showcases what we have here.
Absolutely,
Yeah.
and you never know, might have the next police officer or firefighter
That's right.
or somebody that transplants here to Richmond to stay for the rest of their lives.
Right. And while we're speaking about that, let's go ahead and speak. We spoke a little bit before we started here. We're actually in a recruiting process right now. You are for the police right here in Richmond. Tell us a little bit about that and how it works.
So we are actively seeking people that want to be the police, law enforcement officers. We want people that are dedicated, wanting to make a difference in the community. They don't all necessarily have to come out and talk on the radio or anything like
Okay.
that. But
So it's not a requirement?
Not a
Okay,
requirement
great.
to talk on the radio, but we do want people that are ready to go and
Okay.
willing to serve.
Now, are there age requirements? Are there physical requirements? What are you looking for? Obviously, you're going to have a background check. You're going to have things like that are going on, right?
So those of you that apply or anybody listening to this understand that a hiring process for a police department, any police department, is very lengthy.
Okay.
So
Lengthy as in how long?
so the first step is to get your application in, and here's your date, February 28th,
Okay.
by the end of business day. So get your application turned in by that time. Once the applications are brought in, then you will be notified by email or phone probably of a testing date.
Okay.
The first thing that we do, we work with KLEC and the Department of Criminal Justice Training,
Okay.
and they will handle a lot of our testing process with that, but we'll do the physical fitness test.
Okay.
And then after the physical fitness test, of course, there's written tests, and then
Okay.
there's, then we start the big background stuff.
Okay.
And all the process of how we do that.
So this is a multi-step process. Do you kind of
Very
know
much
what it
so.
is? How long does it generally take?
On a good, I would say a little less than a year on a
Wow.
good process.
Okay,
And
great.
that's depending on how many applicants we have.
Okay.
The more applicants we have, obviously, the
longer the
longer it's going to
process.
take. Now, we want lots of applicants. So
Right,
that's,
there's a big
you
pool
know,
to choose from.
it's a competition for the best. And we
Absolutely.
want to take the best.
Well, we are very quickly running out of time here, but before we leave today, I did want to talk. In February, we've got the Coffee with a Cop. Let's go ahead because we don't want to miss out on talking about that. This is something that, is it a yearly thing or is it this isn't new, right?
No, not new
Okay.
not new. This started. We talked a little bit about this last time
Right.
too. This was not our idea. I wish I could take claim for
Yeah.
it, but this started with other agencies in California, and it's a program that basically we will sit down and have coffee with people and maybe some Danishes, and
Right.
I think we're going to try to set it up for some donuts, and we're going to go ahead and give into that, adapt that cliche for us, but
Embrace it.
embrace it
Yeah.
and take that. But the point is, there's no agendas. There's no
It's a conversation.
It's a conversation. That's right.
What do you want to know about us? What can we find out about you?
We want you to know about who our department is. We want to know who you are.
Right.
This is our chance to listen. And you're not going to get responses about
On a one-on-one
you know,
basis. How
that's
great
right.
is that? Just to be able to communicate just one-to-one and get your questions
That's
answered.
right. And so we just want to know what your concerns are. Little concerns like, people, which are not little, but
Right.
the concerns like people have asked us, about the school bus stop sign
Right.
and, the properties and things like that. That's what we want to hear. And then we can take that information and we could probably put it on our next program too.
Okay, great. Speaking of our next program, let's go ahead and give a little preview. We don't like to give a lot away because, as we evolve, we want the feedback from the community. So, something might come up and we might change completely before next month. But some of the ideas that we're going to talk about next month are...
So we have discussed, I was actually talking to some of the guys last night about it. We're going to start focusing on different aspects of the police department. I know you all see me and you hear me talking or whatever.
Right.
Obviously not the requirement to be on the radio, but we want to start showcasing people that are at our department. Some of our
idea.
specialized units. I may have, I talked to our canine officer last night. I may have our furry friend Rush
Rush
stop
might
by
just
in the
come in.
studio.
That's
Maybe we'll see.
fantastic.
I don't know how well he'll sit there, but
Oh, he's a good boy.
He's a good boy. But we want to show you kind of who we are and introduce you to some of your officers. And again, we've
I
got
love
some.
that.
We've got some high-profile people that we're still looking to get on the program. So
Right.
our guys may have to take a back burner to something different,
Right, if
depending on
things come up.
scheduling. But that's kind of our plan.
Well, let's just wrap this up then for today. Again, let's go ahead and let the public know how to get a hold of us. If you have questions, if you have topic recommendations, what's the best way to get a hold of you and where do you find us?
So the best way to get a hold of us is on our Facebook account, and we'll make sure we post that down on the bottom of the screen. Of course, our Twitter account. We like our social media. We love hearing from you. We do our best to reach out to you and to respond to you as quickly as we can. I do want to go ahead and tell you it's not monitored 24/7. We do
Turns
have.
out you have other things going on too.
There are a few things
Yeah.
going on. So, but we do have a team of people. So it's not just me or not going to be
Right.
one person that's handling everything. You do have a team of people that are trying to get that information out there to you.
So if you have ideas, if you have tips, if you have something you want us to talk about, go ahead and contact us. We're here on WBON TV as well. This is a podcast. This is a broadcast. We have a lot of ways that this is getting out. And of course, it's exclusively brought to you by Babcon Electric. We're going to be here every month. We're going to be talking about the community. Any closing thoughts?
Yes, just like always, and I hope to wrap this up every time like this. If you have an emergency, call 911.
Absolutely.
Our contact number for our dispatch center, if it's non-emergency, is 859-624-4776. So, don't send us a Facebook message if it's an emergency.
Right.
That's the most important thing there. Call 911 and we'll get somebody out there to you because we're here to help.
Well, thanks, Josh, so much for being here again this month. We're going to be doing this for the foreseeable future. Every month, we're going to come to you right here with WBON TV. We enjoy getting together and talking about the community and all the things going on right here in our backyard. So come back next month. Tell your friends, and we'll see you again next month. This is Grendel and Morton with WBON TV, brought to you by Babcon Electric.
Thanks so much.
Thanks.
When it comes to electrical installation and service, trust the experts at Babcon Electric, proudly serving Madison County and Central Kentucky for over 20 years. At Babcon Electric, no job is too big or too small. Our licensed professionals will arrive on time and get the job done right. Call Babcon Electric today for a free estimate. We'll even answer the phone. For quality, expert residential and commercial electrical service, contact Babcon Electric today. Babcon Electric, a proud member of the Better Business Bureau.